Hey guys, what's going on? So look what I have right here. I have the iPhone 14 Pro Max in my hand. This is the 512 gigabyte version in the silver. We're going to be unboxing this here shortly. So I pre-ordered this last week on Friday. I did it on camera. There's a video. I'm going to put a link up top and also down in the description if you're interested in checking that out. It's helpful to a lot of people because they can use that video footage each year and we all communicate down in the comments together on like what was the best thing, what worked for us, what didn't work, where we ran into problems. And for me, I've just had going through my carrier has been working. I have AT&T. Now I will say that AT&T did throw me some curveballs this year. They actually told me on Tuesday, hey, it's coming, Eric, it's coming. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's coming early. I want to get to unbox it on camera early. And then it didn't come. And then they did the same thing to me on Thursday. Said it was coming Thursday. Didn't come. But today on launch day, on actual launch day, when it was supposed to come, it showed up. There's like a carrier hold on these. So FedEx or whatever carrier is supposed to hold them and not deliver them. But I think sometimes they do slip through, so you could get lucky. So get to unboxing this iPhone. Okay, here we go. It says iPhone on the side. Well, an Apple logo on this side. So, yeah, here we go. We're going to peel this off. One nice thing is that they didn't put my phone number on the case this year. Nice job, AT&T. Thank you for listening to me. All right, here we go. Oh my goodness, look at that. Isn't that wild? I tell you what, this just never gets old. Never, ever gets old. I really feel like those cameras are really, the camera lenses are just popping out of there like more so than I've noticed in the past. Here we go. So just like in previous years, we do not have a charger, but we do get a refreshed USB-C to Lightning cable. It says you no longer need a physical SIM. I'm not sure I'm a fan of that. Just not sure yet. We'll see. You know, generally things end up working out, you know. Little Apple sticker. We are here because we want to look at the iPhones. Let's just take a look at the side. Look at that. Oh, you know, not much different really than last year's iPhone. I mean, it's basically the same, you know, other than the cameras looking larger or protruding more. Let's see if we can get it to power on. Oh, the SIM card that's attached to my phone is the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and my wife's phone was the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is the one that I upgraded. So I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen when I activate this phone, like whose number is going to pop up on there. Let's go forward with it. I'm pretty sure it was under my name, even though that was the iPhone 12 and I have the 13. How about we zoom in just a little bit? What do you think about that? Yeah, there we go. So we're going to go ahead and select English, United States, quick start, bring your iPhone close. So normally I bring my iPhone close and then transfer the information over. I am going to skip that this year because I'm going to hold on to my phone for just a little bit. In our next video, we're going to compare this phone against the iPhone 13 Pro Max. We're going to determine if it's really worth upgrading. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. It's going to take a few minutes to activate. All right, so it has my phone number in there. I know I blurred that out so that you can't see it. So we're good. We're good to go on the phone number. I was incorrect about that. Just entering in my zip code. So I'd heard early on there was a bug with activating the iPhone. I'll leave a link to that article down in the description. Apparently the solution to that is you got to plug it into iTunes. So there's this activation bug. So we'll see if we get anywhere with this. It says it's going to take a few minutes. So, okay. We didn't have any activation issue. So I could see it was saying activating the eSIM. We should be okay to continue. We're going to set up this later. We're going to create a passcode. Oh, yeah. Of course, it can be guessed easily because I just did it on YouTube. It's okay. We'll do a new passcode later. All right, so this is where you can restore from different backups and whatnot. We're not going to do that at this moment. Emergency SOS. This phone can talk to satellites. It can also detect crashes. I think this is both of those. Yeah, it looks like it's crash detection, and we have the coming fall 2022. So it's not even available yet. I didn't quite get that feature out in time, but that's the one that I really was kind of excited about for the most part, as well as the new features with camera updates. Always into the camera updates. There it is, guys. There's our phone. So here we are, just kind of the first impression here. You can see the island up here. Let me just bring my other phone side by side. Here we are with the phone that we unboxed last year. And this phone is actually, let me just put them side by side. This phone's already set up and it's actually struggling to get on the internet right now because it's on my camera here. All right, there we go. So just side by side, just kind of want the brightness to be around the same level. Okay, so side by side, they look pretty much like the same. I mean, not a huge difference there other than the notch versus the island, of course. Just some minor differences there. The island seems kind of silly. It would be nice to just not have that at all, but I mean, it's a very creative thing as far as like notifications and whatnot. I think it's kind of interesting that they did it that way. It kind of makes it look like that might be where you would put a speaker, like on our original phones before we had cameras. That's where the speaker went. It definitely takes up less real estate than the notch. As far as like screen brightness, let's turn these up both the whole way. So one of the things that they always tout about Apple is that they increase the nits and everything, but they also rarely run in peak brightness. It's not like a 4K recording device that always runs in peak brightness so you can see it in the sun. And so, it's great that it's got the 2000 nits and everything, but you just don't really notice it. Like, you don't really notice the screen brightness. I don't think. Oh, just one thing, I always like to do a side-by-side test just to look at the phone in like a side-by-side. So on the right, I have the 14 Pro Max, and on the left, I have the 13 Pro Max. And I'm going to bring up the ISO just a little bit on my camera. Really, I mean, you almost can't tell as far as thickness any real difference. Now, those cameras just seem bigger on the so here we have the 14, and this is the 13 Pro Max. It's going to be harder to tell, I think, just looking at the phone, whether it's a 13 or 14 Pro Max. The only way they're really going to be able to tell is if they look at that island, and they'll know. All right, what do you think of this? So we are now recording on the iPhone 14 using the front-facing camera. I did adapt I put a microphone on this just because I want it to sound good. Okay, so I got a sunset going on behind me, and I don't know, looks pretty good for the front-facing camera. Okay, so here we are in the camera application, and as you can see here, we have that 0.5, which is your wide angle, ultra wide angle lens. Then we have the wide angle lens, which is the 48 megapixel, and then we have cropped in on that to get a 2x view, and then we go to the telephoto lens, which is the 3x view, which was available on the last iPhone. Now, if you switch to video, and that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna switch to video. You have those same options, but over here on the left, you'll have this action mode icon. So that is supposed to smooth out your footage, like if you're running or whatnot. It does look like you can still tilt the phone. Of course, we're not recording right now, and it does look like it is available in each of these. Now, I am getting a more light required, so that must need more light for those. It is near sunset here, so we're starting to lose light, but I'm gonna go to somewhere where we have more light. So one thing that I forgot to set up before we were testing here is to go into my camera settings, and then up here, recording video, I want to record it 4K 24, just because that's like typically what I record on my mirrorless cameras, but you can see that 30 and 60 are also there. And then as far as slow-mo, I actually like my default to be at 120. And then as far as cinematic, this is something that, oh wow, they added 4K. I didn't know this. So they added 4K at 24 and 4K at 30. So on the previous iPhone, I mean, if you're into shooting a lot of video, this might be one area where this phone is going to shine past the 13 Pro Max, because it only could do 1080 at 30, which if you shoot a lot of 24 frames per second, that wasn't very helpful there. So here we are shooting at 4K 24 frames per second, and I want to ask you guys, if I pan, one of the things that bothers me the most about cell phone footage is whenever I pan it, you can see that shutter. It's an over crank shutter effect, and it looks choppy to me, and all cell phones seem to kind of do this. So I just am curious to see if that'll show up in our post production, as well as you see that little like orb there opposite the sun. That's something else that happens on cell phones that would not happen on like a cinema camera or even like an expensive mirrorless camera. So here we have our 2x view, and sorry I don't have better footage for you, but this is like, we're doing this on a time crunch here. And then all the way back to our wide angle. And there's my buddy, my one wheel. So, which actually I'm not going to use because I want to do some running in these action modes. Okay, so this is action mode in the ultra wide. Let's see how this looks. So I'm running with the camera, just trying to hold it steady. Okay. Now we're going to switch to the main camera at 1x in action mode. I'm running. Let's do a little 2x in action mode. I'm running along here, filming a tree. 3x in action mode, just walking here. So just my first impression on that, like when you play it back, it looks much smoother than during the recording. I don't know why that is. Maybe that's to try to get you to be more steady with the shot. Make sure you play it back just to see it. But yeah, I was pretty impressed. It's definitely reminds me of like GoPro Hero, what is it, 8 or later, I guess. So here I'm going to do some action mode while I'm riding the one wheel to see if it's smooth. Pretty bumpy through here. Was this worth buying an iPhone 14 Pro Max versus a 13? All right, so I'm going to try that same shot with it turned off. Okay, so this is 0.5 lens with the action mode turned off. You can tell we're not nearly as cropped in. You can see more of my one wheel. It's a more of a zoomed out perspective. And here we go. Now, of course, this 0.5 is a pretty wide lens as it is. So as far as like, you know, wider lenses tend to suffer less from shaky camera footage. You're gonna lose some of that wide angle look when you go into that action mode. So apparently it's just stabilization. It's digital IS. So one of the things that they do when you switch to action mode is they completely blur the screen. That way you don't notice that it's cropping in. Well, at least that's what I figure. I mean, why else would they do that, right? They're hiding the crop, so you don't notice it until you really pay attention to it. Also, this is this cinematic mode on the front facing camera. So you can see my hand out of focus, in focus. So yeah, that depth of field being produced with artificial intelligence on this camera. So as far as the cinematic on the rear cameras, I really only had two options, 1x and 3x. And I'm just kind of curious how this would do here. Never does that great with like complex structures. It does really great with like faces. And then here is the 3x, which that to me, I mean, this isn't ideal footage. I'm running out of sunlight here, but I mean, that's pretty neat. It's like totally blown out in the background. Like that could, if you shot it enough times, that could almost pass for like some high-end footage from a DSLR mirrorless cinema camera. So the f-stop on this front facing is set at 4.5. Let's turn it up. This is all the way up to f2 simulated. So I like that. I mean, my camera's a 2.8 when I'm vlog style like this. So I'm really impressed with this. It might just be the lighting, but yeah, be sure to subscribe because I'm going to do another video where I'm going to compare this camera side by side with the 13 Pro Max, and we're going to determine if you can notice the upgrades and the differences. So I'm back in the studio, and I was just kind of curious trying it in here to see how it might look. This is my lighting that I usually use with my big camera, and just kind of curious to, like, you know, I do have a microphone right here, but this is how I normally record in here, and they've made some improvements to the Lowlight. I'm sure some of those are software, but yeah, what do you think? Does this look like my outro? Let's do the outro. I just realized I forgot to take my sunglasses off. We're going with it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all the things. I do get down into the comments from time to time if you have any questions or anything you'd like me to test. Sometimes I even test stuff for people. You just leave a comment and I'll actually test something and just reply. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get back to the comments, but I do try to answer all of them. Keyword is try, but if not, try to reach out to me and I'll get back with you with an answer. But yeah, let me know what you think about this. New phone. We're going to be doing a couple more videos at the very least on the iPhone 14, so be sure to stick around to that. But anyhow, that's all I got for you. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.